Okay. So I want, yay, you printed it. That was so funny that you were like, a worksheet? It is a little bit more of a workbook, but I am so glad you guys are here. This time last year, I was going through the exact same things that you guys were going through, and I just knew that 2016 was going to be so much better than 2015. I didn't know what that looked like. I was kind of like in the same place that Jennifer's in. I just wanted to find myself. I wanted to find something. I was tired of existing. I was tired of living paycheck to paycheck, or sometimes not even paycheck to paycheck. And I just was tired. I was exhausted, and I wanted to thrive instead of just like surviving every single day. And so this very week last year, I sat down and went through the exercise that we're going through with you guys. And that was basically like, what do I want out of my life? What are the things that I want to accomplish? And some of them were a reach. Some of them were a big reach. But there were a lot of things that were really small. Wait, hold that thought. I'm going to get you guys what I wrote last year, so that you guys can see like just how simple it really was. Because I was in the mind frame, like I couldn't think about having a successful business. I couldn't think about any of those things. I was just trying to get, my number one goal was that I wanted my thoughts to be more positive than negative, because I was living in a really, really dark place. And so here are some of my goals that I wrote down. I wanted to mentor 3 women on their, hey, Jamita, how are ya? I wanted to mentor 3 women in Christ, so mentoring them through their walk of becoming a Christian. I wanted to do 40 days of prayer at the beginning of the year. I wrote down less yelling and better communication, because something you might not know about me is I'm a yeller when it comes to my kids, like just listen. I wanted to read 12 books, and I wanted to improve my credit score to a 650, because it was like in the low 500s. It was really, really bad, you guys. And I wanted to pay 10% to my church in a gradual increase over the year. And I wanted to take my kids to Disneyland. I wanted to hire a life coach. And I wanted to buy a truck and a camper trailer. And I also wanted to have $2,400 in each of the kids' savings accounts. So out of those, I would say I did the 40 days of prayer. The mentoring 3 women in Christ is kind of, I would say that overall, yes, I've done that, only because I feel like I do that with people in my group on a day-to-day basis. And so I would say that, yeah, I've hit that. I read my 12 books. I improved our credit score to a 669 from the low 500s. I did not get the savings into the kids' savings account. I came close to the 10% to church. It was probably closer to like 6 to 7%, but still way more than like the 1 to 2% that we had done the year before. We did go to Disneyland, and I did hire a life coach, and we did not get our truck and our camper trailer. So you can see that some of those things were really big and some of those things were really small. And I felt like it was important for me to have things that, one, monetarily I could do without having to bring in a bunch of cash. That's why I did the 40 days of prayer. That's why I did the books, because I wanted to have something that I could see on paper was a win versus, everything being these huge financial goals or having to bring in all of this money to go buy these things. Because where I was last year, that that thought couldn't even cross my mind. Like when we made the goal to take the kids to Disneyland, I'll tell you, the only reason we did it was because we had 4 free passes. And they expired at the end of March. And so it was one of those like do or die kind of situations. Like we either go or we just give them away. And so Eric and I made the decision on January 1st last year that we were going to take the kids the second week of February. And I didn't know how we were going to do it. We just did it. I had a direct sales business that I was doing from home. And my husband works up on the Air Force Base as a government employee. And so for those of you that may not know about the government, with Eric's job, we didn't get overtime. Like overtime was non-existent. And so I knew that if this Disneyland trip was going to happen, it had to come from my income. And that was a lot of pressure for me. And it was a lot of stress, and I was worried and I was scared because I didn't want to disappoint my family. But I just prayed about it every single day. And I stayed faithful to the 40 days of prayer. I stayed faithful. Oh, one thing I didn't write down was I didn't drink. And I stayed faithful to the not drinking. And I just thought, if it's supposed to happen, it will happen. And about 3 weeks into January, my income wasn't changing. And I was starting to panic. Like, how am I going to do this? Because the kids were like counting down the days. And I was really, really worried. Well, wouldn't you know that Eric got all his overtime? You guys, and that kind of stuff never, ever happens. And he got enough overtime to pay for our trip plus some. And when I got back from the trip, I went and looked at, kind of calculated what we had spent versus what I had planned. And we came in within $3 less than what I had budgeted is what we had spent. And that was an amazing feeling. And I knew at that point, like the rest of the year was going to be awesome, because if I could stick to that and I could have faith and I could set that goal for us and we could do it as a family, that the rest of the year was just going to be a piece of cake. And it wasn't necessarily a piece of cake. There were definitely peaks and valleys, but comparatively to the year before, it was like night and day difference. And I believe it's because I sat down at the beginning of the year and was super intentional about what I wanted to get out of the year. And I didn't just leave that for fate's hands or, to the angels to help decide what that was going to be. Like, I wanted God to know exactly what I wanted and exactly what I was shooting for. And so that's what I want for you guys, is to be really intentional. And it doesn't have to be these huge goals that, you got to take out and sell your kidney to accomplish, but just even the little things that will really motivate you on a daily basis, I think is really, really going to be helpful. So that's where our handy dandy worksheet / workbook comes into play. So did all of you watch the video that I sent you guys a couple days ago?
Yes,
I did.
yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry, I'm just changing this so I can see all of your faces. Okay, good. So that means that you have your bucket list written down. You prioritize them, I hope, into your 6 months, 1 year, 2 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years. Do you guys have any questions about any of that before we move on? Good, okay. So step 2 is you're going to prioritize the 6 month and the yearly goals, because we're not going to focus on too much further than this coming year in 2017, because I want you guys to be really focused on what's happening in 2017. If you wanted to dive into like more long-term planning, then that's something that we can discuss offline and schedule some time to do. But for the sake of this call and the time that we have, I want to just focus on 2017. So I want you to prioritize looking at those 6 months and those 1 year goals, what those are going to be. And if you look at, it's probably page 4, I want you to write those down in order of priority. So 6 months, what are those goals? So by the end of June, what do you want to have accomplished? And then by the end of next year, what do you want to have accomplished? So while you guys are writing that down, I'm just going to give you some of the ground rules. So these goals must be measurable. You have to be able to measure them in a way that makes sense. And we need to be able to calculate them based on a percentage. Because where I think people get hung up is they think that if they have to get 100% to be able to mark that goal off as complete. And that's not true. Let's say that you had a goal for, making $1,000 in the month of January, but you only made $700. Would you consider that a failure? Heck no, you have $700, right? That's a huge, huge success. So the general rule is if you come in within 70% of your goal, then that is a win. You can mark that as completed. I did it. It's accomplished. So giving myself as an example, I had a goal of 150 women for the 5-day prayer challenge, which is about 3 times the amount that I've had in previous challenges. And so a lot of women, or some of my closest friends, were like, that's a lot of people. I was like, yeah, I know, it is a lot of people, but I think I can do it. And wouldn't you know that I came in at 149? And that's huge. Now, do you think because I didn't get that one last person that I thought that that was a failure? Heck no. I was ecstatic when I hit 75, and so you have to really keep it into perspective about these goals and what you can accomplish, because when you get hung up on that 100%, that's when you set yourself up for failure. If you set yourself up with, if I come in within 70% and I can mark it off as a pass, then that's more attainable for whatever reason in our brains to accomplish that versus the goal that we set out for ourselves. And the more specific, the better. So if you have, for example, one of my goals for 2017 is that I wanted to do some remodeling around the house. I wanted to do we've lived here about 8 years, and so like the walls need painted and that kind of stuff. Well, I can't just say remodel house as my goal. Like, I have to be specific. So what rooms do I want to remodel? What do I want to remodel in those rooms? What do I want to purchase? Do I want new appliances? Do I want new paint? What color paint do I want? Do I want new carpet? Do I want new furniture? And you just have to be really specific about each of those things and when you set yourself up, because the more specific, the better you will accomplish it, and the more intentional that you are, the more God will be like, okay, I know what she wants, even though he already knows what we want. But I know what she wants, and I'm going to help her do that. So the more specific, the better. If it's a money goal that you've written down, you have to know where that money is going. You can't just say, I want $200,000 next year. And let's say that your normal expenses from just normal day-to-day where you're at right now, let's say your expenses come in at 80 grand, but you want 200 grand. You have to know where that extra $120,000 is going to go. What's it going to go to? Are you going to donate some of it? Are you going to go on a trip with some of it? Are you going to buy something with it? Like, be very, very specific about what you're going to spend your money on. The goal should be attainable, but it should stretch you. So if normally you make $50,000 in a year and you set a goal for $250,000, unless you have a really good plan for your business, that's going to be, I would venture to say, in the unattainable route, unless you are really, really headstrong and know exactly what you're going to do to accomplish that. But if you normally bring in $50,000 and you set a goal for $75,000, that's attainable. That's believable in your mind that you can accomplish that. So make sure that whatever the goal is, that it's attainable, but that it stretches you. Don't make it so that it's a guaranteed. Maybe just take it a couple more steps further than that. And then you have to 100% expect it and believe in yourself. So the Disneyland trip is a great example. I knew it was attainable, but it stretched us significantly. And so I had to 100% expect it and believe that it was going to happen and have faith that it was going to happen. Because if I had started out in the first week and not seeing my business that I had at the time growing and not bringing in the money that I had set out for myself in that first week, I could have easily have said, oh, that's just not going to happen. Like, forget that. We'll just move it. I'll go buy tickets later in the year, right? But I knew that, like, I wasn't going to let my kids down. Had I not told the kids, I think it would have been a totally different story. I think I would have not tried as hard. I don't think that I would have had the faith that I had, because it was like, I can remember, you guys, I'm sitting right in front of my prayer wall. If you didn't know, this is behind me. I was on my knees in front of this wall, begging him not to let them down. Like, please don't put me in a situation where I have to let them down. And tears flowing down, and just like had to have faith. There was nothing else I could have done. And so I think that it's important that you 100% expect it and believe it and have faith in it and pray about it every single day and make sure that it's attainable. Okay, did you guys prioritize your 6 months in 1 year?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing that I think is really important within your goals is that you have at least one goal set for each of these categories that I had listed out in the workbook. Now, that's not to say that you can't have more than one in one of the categories. And if so, just print off extra sheets for those. But I gave you one for at least each of the categories I think are important that you have every single month. So we're going to start with home. So looking at basically your wish list that you created, or the things that you desire, I'm certain that there's probably something in there that's related to your home. Examples of this could be like what I just told you, remodeling a room. That would be a good one. Maybe it's hiring a housekeeper. Jennifer's got 5 kids. Lord knows that woman needs a housekeeper. So maybe that's her goal for the year. It could also be, I'm looking here on my list to see if I can come up with a different one. Maybe it is making sure that you have 2 hours a night with your kids uninterrupted. So no electronics. That could be another home goal. Maybe it's paying off your house or paying off a part of your house. That could be another home goal. So just something that's related to your home, your family, that kind of thing. You're going to give it a target date, whether it be the 6 months or a year. So it's either going to be June 30th or December 31st. Then I want you to write, what will the success look like? How will it feel? And what will it bring to your life by accomplishing that goal? So let's use my house remodel as an example. We'll use my kitchen as an example. So what would that look like? That would look like I would have new appliances. I would have an amazing backsplash. I would have a new range and hood. I would have new countertops. How would it feel? It would feel luxurious. It would feel amazing to be able to walk in there. Now, what's kind of funny about all of this is I don't even cook. My husband does the cooking. So it would feel awesome to see him in there enjoying it and cooking and just really like feeling like he's at home. What would it bring to our lives? Well, it would bring us, it would extend the life of our home for probably another 10 years by making these updates. We wouldn't have to go and buy more appliances in a couple of years. It would bring a more sense of more kind of a homey feeling than versus going and just buying a new house with all those new gadgets that we would actually be able to stay in our home and be comfortable with the kids. So That's what I want you to write down for you guys. So with the goal that you pick for your home, what does that feel like? What does that look like? What's it going to bring to your life? Then the important action. So these are going to be kind of your high payoff activities. These are the things that you're going to do every single day or maybe once a week that keep you in check with your goal, that keep you on that GPS, that map of being able to accomplish all of that. So in the sense of my house remodel or my kitchen remodel, it would be planning out how much it's going to cost, finding the contractors to come in and do the work. It would be allotting a certain amount each week that I would put into a savings account to pay for that. What other important actions? It could be creating a dream board or some kind of vision board for what I want it to look like. It could be, checking in on my finances on a daily basis to make sure that I'm in line with the budget that I originally set. If you did a home goal that was like, let's say, no electronics for a certain period of time every night, that was your goal for the year. Your important actions would be everybody checks in their cell phones, right? At 6 o'clock every night. That's an important action. Another important action would be to maybe put a reminder in your phone to shut your phone off or whatever that is. So just whatever those actions that you need to do to accomplish the goal, that's what you're going to put in there. Then you have those things that are like what's out of your control, because not everything, you don't have control over everything. So in the case of my kitchen remodel, what's out of my control would be my car dying and me having to put money into my car instead of the house. Another thing that would be out of my control is the contractor taking longer than I had originally anticipated for maybe, putting in new tile or new countertops. Something else that could be out of my control is not bringing in enough money to pay for it. So maybe I don't get enough clients, or maybe I don't book out my programs like I want, or maybe we have a health issue that requires us to put our money into medical bills or something like that. So those are the kinds of things. It's kind of like your risk mitigation, for lack of a better word. So what are the things that are out of your control that you really have to hand over to God to take care of? That's what you're going to put there. Then once you have that established, you're going to break it out into quarter 1, quarter 2, 3, and 4. Obviously, if it's the 6-month goal, you're just going to use quarter 1 and quarter 2. So for my kitchen remodel, quarter 1 goal would be to have everything planned out, to have a solid budget of how much it's going to cost, have contractors lined up to get the work started. That could be my quarter 1 goal. My quarter 2 goal could be actually completing the work. So I'm planning it all in quarter 1, and then in quarter 2, the work is actually happening. I'm going to have a financial goal in quarter 1 because I want to be able to pay for everything in cash. And so I'm going to make that a part of my quarter 1 goal so that in quarter 2, I can just pay for it all and have it all done. Does that all make sense? Do you guys have any questions about any of that? Am I talking too fast?
No.
No.
Okay, good. So that's going to be your home goal. And then you're going to break it out by month, right? So quarter 1, we've got 3 months in the quarter. My plan, quarter 1, I'm going to use to create my plan and my budget, get my financial goal in the works. So January, maybe the goal for January is just to get the plan together. So how much am I going to need? What am I going to spend it on? Who am I going to hire? What's it going to look like? February could be the financial part of it. So doing what I need to do in my business or in Eric's job to bring in the money that we need to pay for the remodel. And then in March, it could be hiring the contractors, getting everyone lined up to start on April 1st. That's an example of how I would do that, break it out by month. Because you want to kind of like back your way into the year. So you've got a financial goal. Oh, we'll get to that. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. The next group is the financial goal. So for those of you that have businesses, this could be your business financial goal. So how much, revenue do you want to earn over the year? In Jennifer's case, her husband is the provider financially. And so financial goal for her might not be bringing in money because he has a set income. And so going above that might be kind of difficult. So maybe their financial goal is paying off a credit card. That could be one of your financial goals as well. But that is an example. So let's say that paying off a credit card is the example that we'll use. So you're going to put the name of the credit card, you're going to give it a target date, whether it be the 6 months or the year. Let's say it's a year goal, because we all know that I am the spending queen. So I just paid off some credit cards. But let's say I racked that bad boy back up, right? And it's going to take me a year to pay it off. So what's that going to look like? How is it going to feel? What's it going to bring to my life? I'm going to have more money at the end of the month because I'm not paying on that credit card anymore. It's going to feel amazing because I won't have that debt monkey hanging on my back every month. It's going to look like 0, 0, 0, right? What are my important actions? My important actions are to make sure that I know exactly the amount that I need to pay off. That I'm checking my finances every single day to make sure that I'm not overspending in other areas that will take away from the money that I could be putting towards my credit card. Other important actions could be making sure that I'm staying in line with my bank fees every month, the interest fees that I'm accruing over that credit card. Just keeping myself in check with those important actions, that I'm got a monthly budget created every single month so that I'm not overspending in other areas. What's out of my control? The same kind of things that I mentioned before. Somebody gets sick and you've got medical bills. Maybe a car breaks down and so you are having to put money towards getting your car fixed versus paying off your credit card. All of those things that are totally out of your control. That's what you're going to put there. So quarter 1, quarter 2, 3, 4, you're going to take that amount of the credit card and you're going to break it out over probably the 12 months. So you're going to have a quarterly goal. And the great thing about this is that at the end of quarter 1, you're going to assess where you are to that yearly goal. So if you fall behind, then you would add that difference to the remaining months. And so that's going to shift your goals for the remainder of the year. If you're ahead of the game, maybe you still, that yearly goal is still good. So maybe you can adjust the months following so that you can account for that. And maybe you're not socking away so much, or maybe you want to pay it off early. You want to come in earlier than the year. And so that will give you that's your gut check at the end of the quarter, at the end of every quarter, to see where you are in those goals, especially the financial ones, so that you know where you have to adjust. And then you also want to keep in mind that for people that have businesses, summer months can be really slow. And so if you've got a big financial goal, you want to make sure that you plan for that you're not expecting your big months to reproduce every single month, that you look at what you've done in the past and kind of adjust accordingly. And then break it out by month. So by month, what do I have to put away on that credit card? What do I have to, if it's an income goal, You're going to want to break this out by client, by customer. So how many customers do I need? If I need 5 customers, how many prospects is that to get to that 5? And so you really have to drill down as far as you possibly can to get to that financial goal so that you're setting yourself up for success. Do you guys have any questions about that?
No.
Good. Okay, personal growth. For me, this last year, those were the 12 books came into play. For this year, for me, one of my personal growth goals is hiring a coach that I've been following. I've not yet hired her, but she's on my plan for this year. And so that's my personal growth goal, is to hire her and to make sure that I'm planning accordingly for that. Another personal growth goal could be, like I said, could be reading books, could be taking a course once a quarter, could be investing in your own coach. It could be investing in maybe some classes at the community center, just anything that really interests you, that you want to grow upon. Jennifer mentioned at the beginning of the call that she wants to spend next year just really finding herself, finding her identity again, and what her purpose is and what she connects with. So her personal growth goal could be doing something new every single month, trying something different until she determines what it is she wants to do or what it is that really interests her. Or maybe it's investing in a program or a group program or a course or something that will kind of kickstart her through the year, and then she can figure out what she wants to spend the second part of the year on. So there's lots of different things you can do for that personal growth goal. For health, this could be an exercise goal. This could be eating better every single day. For me, I have lots of hormonal and thyroid issues. So my health goal for 2017 is to get all of that balanced out, and investing in my overall well-being, not necessarily an exercise routine or a diet or anything like that, but just really making sure that I'm going to the doctor when I'm supposed to, making sure that I'm in check with how I feel, and talking with him about that when something feels off. And so I've got some health goals around just kind of balancing my overall well-being. But exercise is a really good one here if it's something that you want to improve. It could be yoga. It could be just going for a walk every single day. But whatever it is, it's got to be measurable. So make sure that you remember that as you're going through these. Okay, the next one is going to be your social cultural. So for me, this is when I think about my family. So how many date nights do I want to have with my husband? How many, this could be a trip that you want to take with your family. This could be making sure that you are having your girls' nights once a month. Anything like that I would put into here. Another thing, one of the things that I wrote for next year was I wanted to go on a weekend trip with just my mom and the girls. Excuse me. And so that could be something that I could put in here. Another one could be volunteering at your kids' school. So how many hours do you want to volunteer? How involved do you want to be with their sports or their activities? Maybe you want to be, one of the things that I want to do next year is I want to be the football mom for Aiden's football team. That's something I could put on here. Chances are you might have more than one of these, because these tend to be a little bit smaller. And maybe it's just every month you change it up. So on your sheet where it breaks it out by month, maybe each month you put in something different. Like January, I'm going to have 4 date nights. February, I'm going to volunteer X number of hours at my kids' school. March, I'm going to have 2 girls' nights. So you can even break it up by different things in each of these months. It doesn't have to be one huge goal for the whole year. Spiritual, ethical. This is where, for me, I would put anything that I do with my women's group at church. So this is going to be like, maybe I do 3 different small groups or 3 different like series topics over the year with them. That's something I could put in here. This would be a good one to do, like that 40 days of prayer, or even if we were doing the 5-day prayer challenge next year, that could be something that you could put in there. But just something where you feel like you can be checking in with yourself every single month to make sure that you're on the right path. This could be volunteering at the homeless shelter a certain number of hours every month, or it could be donating a certain amount of time or money every single month to an organization that you support. I mentioned last year that one of my goals was 10% to my church. So that could be something that I put in here. Again, whatever it is, it's got to be measurable, whether it be volunteer hours, money that you donate, the number of meetings you have at church, or anything like that. It could also be attending a course. Maybe church isn't your thing. You could find some, they have lots of those like spiritual courses or classes that you could take where, you learn about meditation or any of those things. You could do that during one of these, for one of these goals. Again, similar to the social, cultural, it could be something different every month. It doesn't have to be one huge goal that you have for the whole year. For last year, this would have been where I put the mentor 3 women. That would have been within this bucket. Okay, and then we get to our business and career. Now, in some cases, you might have more than one of these. Again, if you do, just print off more sheets. But this is going to be something that is a little bit, stretches you out of your comfort zone a little bit. So in Jennifer's case, her business and career is being a full-time mom, taking care of her amazing kids every single day. And so for her, an example of her goal for the year, it could be meal planning. It could be making sure that you keep up with the chores, or maybe it's implementing a chore chart for the kids, anything like that makes you feel like, okay, here's my goal for the year when it comes to my business and my career, which is being a mom, and here are the things that I want to accomplish over the year. Maybe it's taking out all of the processed food out of your house. It could be any of those things. So don't discredit this goal, and I even hate to even say it, just because you're a mom and you're working at home, because that's ridiculous, because your job raising 5 kids is way harder than mine. And so don't discredit yourself there. I think I just had a friend that we're going to be 40 next year, and she just had a baby, and her kids, like, she's got one kid that just graduated from high school, and now she's got a newborn. And so she decided not to go back to work. And she was really like struggling after having a career and then coming home. And I remember that all too well when I left my career of 15 years and decided to be at home. It was like culture shock for me. I like grieved because I felt like that whole part of me had just died. And so it's important to have your own goals for your house if you are a full-time mom at home, because I think that it makes you feel like you're contributing. So often I hear women say, well, I don't bring in any money, or I'm not contributing. And that is so false. That is such a lie, that you are contributing, and you're saving your family thousands on daycare. If you had to put all of those kids in daycare, like, you would have to probably get 3 jobs to be able to do that. And so you are contributing. So don't sell yourself short on that, on this section. For Heather, it could be, booking up your private one-on-ones for your business. For Jamita, it could be enrolling a certain number of people into your business and sponsoring them. For me, it will be a number of women to come through all of my programs. Another one that I just thought of for the social cultural is one of the things that I'm going to put on there is my women's retreat that I'm planning for April. And so that's another good one. So for you guys, maybe it's finding a retreat in your local area that you're attending. That could be a goal. Or getting involved with something in your local areas that you could participate in. That could be another thing that you do from a social cultural. It could be volunteering at a women's shelter, anything like that. Okay, any questions so far? Alrighty. Okay, so the vision statement. This is super, super important. After you get all of your sheets filled out and you know what your goals are for this year, coming year, and you know what you want to be intentional about, you're going to write out what that looks like and what it feels like to hit all of those goals. And you're going to write it as if it's already happened. So, for example, with me, it would be, I love watching Eric cook in our new kitchen. It brings him such joy to be able to use his new stove. And it's, such a great feeling seeing our hard work pay off and enjoy our home more. For my women's retreat, it could be, I loved meeting every single woman. I loved, listening to the speakers and helping them with their spiritual lives. And so you really have to just write it as if it's the end of next year and you are just basking in all of the things that you accomplished. That's what you want to write down, as if it's happening, as if it's already happened. And this is something that once you write it down, I don't want you to just, write it down and forget about it. I want you to read it, keep it with you. When you're struggling, open up this piece of paper and read what you wrote, because it will help you, find that motivation again, or will help you kind of push down and get rid of all of those self-doubt voices, that crazy woman sitting in your head telling you can't do anything. It's important to have that so that you can refer back to it, and it will kind of keep you moving throughout the year. Any questions about that? Y'all are quiet. Okay.
I do have a question.
Yeah, shoot.
Okay, how did you start your prayer, like the wall?
My prayer wall? Have you watched the movie The War Room?
Yes, I don't have a closet, so when you said your wall, I was like, okay, I can do that. I have space for that. So.
That's what I did. It's just here behind me. Behind my desk is over here behind where we are right now, or where I'm facing. And so it's just a little section of my office that I cornered off. Okay. Certainly does not have to be in a closet or in a room specific just for that. I kind of like having it here because it, when I glance over, it reminds me. I think if it were off in a room or in a closet somewhere, I don't think I'd pay as much attention to it. But that's just personally. And it used to be notebook paper taped to the wall.
Yeah.
It was not pretty at all. It was legal size sheets of notebook paper, masking taped to the wall. But I decided, I think I'm just going to make it pretty. And so that's why I created this. So I just
started it. I started mine in a book, but it's just so easy to just put away a book and not really, get it back. So I want something I can actually like visualize and see.
Yes. No, I love it. It's probably my favorite part of the whole house. And it's funny because the kids will come in as I'm praying, and sometimes Sophie is my youngest. She'll come in and sit with me while I do it. The others kind of like, oh, mom's doing her thing, and they'll go away. Or sometimes Eric will walk in and he's like, oh, sorry, like as if he's like walking in on me in the bathroom or something. But no, I love it, and I love having it up there. And I'm telling you that every single person that I've ever put up on my wall, something significant happens to them. I'm not saying that I'm like special by any means, but I just feel like it's super intentional. Like it really helps me see the difference in those lives by me just putting their names up here. So we kind of joke about it being my magical prayer wall, but I'm telling you, it's really crazy to see some of the amazing things that have happened to the people that I've actually, put their names up there.
And what about your kids? Like, my kids pray and everything, but I want it to be something like constant that, I'm not pushing them to do. Like, how did you kind of get them started into like really doing that and really, getting involved with it?
I started by having them pray for other people. Like we had, we don't know this little boy. It was a friend. It was a woman that I knew from my previous business. Her little boy had gotten into a really bad accident and had gotten like 60-70% of his body burned. And so the kids and I would pray for little Tegan every single night. And I just started doing that, like praying for people that are friends and family that weren't near us, or praying for, health of maybe a family member that was struggling. So we just started kind of doing that. And it's so funny to listen to them pray now because they like totally get it. But mine are 8, 6, and 4. And so to be honest with you, I don't think they don't remember a time when they didn't do that.
Yeah.
And so for me, I would say it's a little bit easier because it's just normal for them.
Mm-hmm.
But we do go through our spurts where we maybe don't do it every single night like we should. Like I would say in the last probably 6 weeks or so, we've been kind of slacking off.
Yeah.
But the kids will pray that they do good on their spelling tests. They'll pray that that they get something that they want for their birthday. Like I don't discourage those prayers either, because I think it's important even for ourselves to ask for those things. Yeah. And so I don't discourage that at all, but I also make them like, pray for someone. Like, who are you going to pray for? What are you going to thank God for? I always make sure that they thank him for something first. Like my 4-year-old, she thanks him for her blankie. She has this blankie that's like her whoopee that she carries around everywhere. And for the longest time, that's just what she prayed for every single night. Thank you for my blankie. And so I think personally, the more they see you do it, the more they'll do it.
Yeah.
Like they don't see their dad do it very often. But when they ask him to do it, he will do it. But me, I'm the more vocal person. But they're usually the ones that bring it up like at dinner mm-hmm. when they want to pray, like say grace, or sometimes usually Eric and I will forget, and they're the ones that remind us to do that. So yeah, I think the more they see you do it, the more that it won't seem so taboo for them to do it.
Yeah, I think it's because, okay, like for dinner, I got to get the meal plan, and that is one of my goals because I used to be on it, like having dinner ready, but it's kind of slacked off. So now I'm really trying to get the kids fed and bathed and ready for school, that we don't even, they sit at the table and eat dinner, and I just find a time later on to do it.
Yeah,
And the
and that's
same,
fun too.
the same for bedtime. It's like I get them ready for bed, tell them to say their prayers, and I think this year I can really, make sure we have dinner at the table every night, and then actually as a family sit there and say our prayers before bed, and then let them go to bed. So
yeah, and don't set yourself up or feel guilty about that. Maybe instead of like having dinner at the table every night, maybe it's 2 nights out of the week or 3 nights out of the week. Like, don't set yourself up for something that's totally different than where you are right now. Just do it in small increments. Maybe it's, okay, we're going to have dinner at the table 1 night a week for the first quarter. Then we're going to have it 2 nights a week for the second quarter. And then in the third quarter, we're going to have it 3 nights a week. Like, set yourself up so that it's something that's not going to stress you out, because then you're certainly not going to do it if you feel like it's overwhelming out of the gate. Same with meal planning. Maybe it's, I'm going to plan 3 days out of the week to start. And then as you get easier, maybe it's just easier to do all 7 days because you're doing the 3 anyway. So just set yourself up and do it in increments. So that way at the end of the year, you've got a good routine going down, and it wasn't something that, it's like when you start that diet on January 1st, right? How many diets do we stick with on January 1st? We might stick with it for the first 4 days, maybe 5 days. And then after that, it's like, forget this, you're off doing something else. So the same goes for this stuff too. That's why when I wanted to do 10%, donating 10% to church, I started it out with 2% in January and February. And then I went to 4% in March and April. And I just worked myself up that way. So that way it didn't seem so overwhelming to me at first. Does that help?
Yeah, because that was, the tithing was one of my things too. I felt so bad when I couldn't give and everything, but I'm like, okay, God knows where's my heart set, and what I desire to want to do in that area. So with the financial group that I told you about, now I'm able to sit back and know that I have the money that I can sit aside to pay in tithe on Sundays. So good. I was able to do it Sunday, and it felt so good.
Good. That is good.
Yeah.
And the thing is with the whole tithing thing is it's really about where your heart's at. If your heart feels good about giving $5, then give $5. If your heart feels good about giving $50, give $50. But the worst thing you can do is set yourself up that I'm going to give this certain amount and then be resentful about it, because then it doesn't really matter the amount you're giving.
Yeah.
So certainly don't beat yourself up over that. There were months this month or this year that, like I said, I don't think I came in at 10%, because life happens and I'm not perfect. And so things happened and I made those choices. But I just get back on the wagon. That's all you can. Yeah. So don't beat yourself up over that for sure. Because it's really about where your heart's at. Good. Heather, Jamita, you guys have any questions?
When we put all this together, we supposed to put it on a board like the one that's above you? You know what I mean?
You can, yeah.
Is that a better way to keep yourself accountable?
Yep, that's my vision board up behind me. So this is for my Haiti trip. This is my missions trip that I'm going on next month. This is my women's retreats. I probably can't read it from where you guys are, but these are the cities that I want to have my women's retreats in.
Wow.
Up there, this one it's got strong across the top, and it has a picture of me when I was the fittest I was. And so that's a picture. I mean, so I put like good food, a picture of good food and what my body used to look like. I put that up there. Over here are some of the trips that I want to take with my family, but this is like my 5-year kind of board. So these are some trips that we want to take over the next 5 years. Down here is I want to coach 600 women over the next 5 years. I want to speak at 100 events. And so these are like some pretty, I would say, outrageous things. But I feel like they're attainable if I keep doing what I'm doing. And so, yeah, I love this. And I love having it above my prayer wall because I am forced to kind of look at them both when I'm doing my thing. It just reminds me of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I also put quotes up here. Like this one is a little card that Aiden wrote. It says, "You are a great mom. I love you." And great is spelled Grate. And so I put that up there to just remind me, like, I'm just doing the best I can, you know, and that's in a lot of cases good enough for him. But the other thing I also have is a little cork board behind where my computer sits. And that has pictures of Eric and I and pictures of the kids, and just some like smaller things that I'm kind of more my immediate things that I'm focused on. And I have that right behind my computer screen so that I look at that all day long as I'm sitting at my desk. But yeah, those definitely, absolutely, Jamita, if you create something like that, and it doesn't have to be something like this, it can just be, you know, pictures. Although I will tell you that my coach that I just finished working with, this was kind of her idea, was to create these like dream boards like this. And it is kind of nice having it be like a piece of art because I'm more likely to look at it and to pay attention to it, and versus just slapping something up on, you know, a piece of poster board. It's definitely, I put a lot of thought and a lot of intention into it. And so if you have the time and you want to be creative like that, I definitely think it's worth it. It was worth it for me to do that because I feel like I pay more attention to it, which is kind of why I decided to change the prayer wall. Because it was like I had this, you know, nice piece of art up here and then my prayer wall with my, you know, my notebook sheets of paper masking tape to the wall didn't look as good. But the other nice thing about the prayer wall that I did was, I don't know if you can see it. These are thumbtacks.
Oh.
So I can take these papers off and add people's names to it or do whatever I want and move things around. So I did put these up with thumbtacks so that they could come on and off easily. Good question.
Yeah, I'm excited. I honestly have never, that's my first goal, is setting goals. I've never set goals in my life. I just go through each day and live life and do what I can and not what I can't. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I do.
I'm really excited.
I think that a lot of times we don't set goals because we don't want to set ourselves up. You know, like it's almost the anxiety of setting the goal, like it's written in paper now and it's set in stone. And if you don't hit it, you feel like a failure. Right. That's why I think it's important to have those little ones, right? Like reading 12 books in a year. You can read 12 books in a year,
right?
You know, because when I got to like month 4 and I had already read 6, I was like, yes, I'm ahead of the game, you know? And so it's important to have those little ones that aren't so outrageous. Right. But, you know, even looking at the goals that I did put and the ones that I didn't miss, I'm not beating myself up because I didn't have the amount of money that I wanted to have in the kids' savings accounts. I'll just try to do better this year. And so it really helped keep things in perspective, having ones that I definitely hit and then having ones that I struggled with. Like another one, this is being totally vulnerable. Another one I had was the prior year, we had spent thousands of dollars in non-sufficient fund fees because our checking account kept going into negative. And so one of my goals for 2016 was to not have one of those fees. Well, in March, something had come through, and it had come through in an account I wasn't expecting, and I had money in a different account, and so I got hit with one of those. Well, of course I was like angry because I'm like, oh, it's March and I just had this happen, right? But I didn't beat myself up over it. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna set myself that goal that it's not gonna happen again for the rest of the year. Right. And so it's really important to give yourself grace when things don't go as planned and to just reset as you go along. But just don't quit. Don't give up. Don't not do it because you're afraid of setting yourself up for failure. Because
I've come too far now, and I've grown in other areas to learn that 1% changes, they the momentum that comes with them once you start implementing them. And life happens. That I've always known. That part, I think, will get me through it because I'm the queen of improvising.
Yeah, and you are a completely different woman than the woman I talked to several months ago. Like, you have a light about you, and you're glowing, and I can see that, like, I'm going to actually do something. Like that excitement in you that did not exist when we first talked on the phone that one night. So
I never even realized that I didn't set goals. You know what I mean? I never even thought of it until everybody's talking about it. And I'm like, well, I haven't never done that. Wonder why. And then I started thinking about, I know why. And nope, never mind. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yep. Say goodbye to that old Jamita.
Mm-hmm.
New one's here, girl.
Yes.
I love it. Good. Heather, how about you? Any questions?
No, it's a process I've done before, so there's not much that's unfamiliar. And the vision statement, something that I take my clients through, so
good.
As I'm familiar with.
Yeah, Jen and Jamita, Heather is another life coach that we've been connected and kind of helping each other, so it's been fun.
Awesome.
Good. All right, my beauties, if you guys don't have any other questions, that's all I have for you. But if you think of something later, make sure that you comment because I'm sure you aren't the only one to have that question. It says, okay, I was just making sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay, good. Well, it was a pleasure seeing all of your beautiful faces, and thanks for not making me go through all of that alone.
Oh, thank you.
And
thank you.
You're welcome. And just if I don't talk to you guys, well, I'll talk to you before. But if I don't specifically talk to each and every one of you, have a Merry Christmas. And I hope you're enjoying the prayer challenge. Tomorrow's going to be good. It's about relationships. So make sure you look for that email in the morning. And you guys have a wonderful evening.
Awesome. Thank you.
You too.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.